All right, welcome on into the Ryan Ripken Show, and that means stop traffic. We're back for a brand new week. Happy Tuesday. Hope you had a great weekend here, and we got a whole heck of a lot to discuss as we move into a rockin' hot week of June here. Shirts and pants, man. I got to tell you what. The temperature's rising, and I guess with the temperature also is rising trade speculation. Yep. It's not baseball season in the summer unless you're talking about deals, and ESPN just had an article that came out talking about who could be on the trade block for specific teams. And if you're in Baltimore, what percentage of some of these Orioles could be on the move? That's number one. Hey, number two, how about Mr. Rogers? Trevor Rogers makes his second spectacular start with the Orioles. And you're starting to see why the Orioles made the trade for him and why he was considered one of the best pitchers back in 2021 in his official rookie season. We'll have Daniel Alvarez of El Extra Base because he spent a lot of time down there in Miami when Trevor Rogers was a Marlin, and also can keep us up to date on the other pitching target in Sandy Alcantara, who is starting to heat up down there. And we're going to go around Major League Baseball. There's a lot of topics that's still to discuss. There is some stress around another AL East rival, especially Boston. Apparently, Boston media starting to be in a little bit of a frenzy on what's going on with the Red Sox. And then we got to do a breakdown for today. So I really wanted to discuss what the heck happened in the national championship. And if you watched it, Coastal Carolina's manager tossed in the first inning. We're going to react to each angle of that and a whole heck of a lot more. But if you're new to the channel here, you hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We do this live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. And it's just me, Ollie, and then behind the sticks, Mr. Zach Bollinger. Bolly, how we doing?
It's hot. It is really hot. I went with the Jim Palmer advice today I was like, do I want to wear a black shirt? Because like, you know how they say like black attracts the heat, all that. But then I realized like we're at that point, like if it was 82, like that's different. That's like, okay, if you wear the hat, or the black, you're going to attract heat. Like maybe no matter what you wear, you're going to sweat. Like no matter what you wear right now, you're going to sweat. So I opted for if I'm going to sweat, I don't want to go light color where it's like, oh, he's sweating. That was what Jim Palmer said last night. That's why they wore the black polos. He said he didn't want to have uneven perspiration between he and Kevin Brown on screen. So took a little advice from Cakes and decided to rock the darker colored shirt today. Maybe hide the sweat if you're walking around, because it is that temperature where I get upset walking outside. Like I get physically upset. I walk outside and I'm like, what the hell?
Dude, I wore pants yesterday. I did.
That was a bad decision.
However, I was going to an event and it was at a club. It was for the BMW Championship is coming here in August to Baltimore. So I thought, you know what? I couldn't remember the full guidelines at Caves. Mm-hmm. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna wear pants just to be safe.
Yeah.
And then who's the asshole that wore the pants? That was this guy. And you know what? I thought, you know what? These are breathable pants. They're aerodynamic.
Yeah.
Not the best decision. But did I have a good time? That's also up for debate because it was just so damn hot. I sweated through shirt and then another shirt. But I did meet some great people. So that was a thumbs up. But as far as the feel, you know, that's why I like to wear black. I'm with Jim Palmer. Like the other part is you can't really see the sweat marks.
Yeah, you can't tell.
That's the beauty of it. You know, Zach, I'll be honest with you before we get going into the show. It reminded me of a time where I played a doubleheader in Charleston, South Carolina. That's the most I felt of just sweating, doing absolutely nothing outside. Because I did the pregame radio down at 105.7 down at Pickles Pub. And I go, I haven't been this just uncomfortable doing nothing since Charleston, South Carolina. Now, I did do something. I played a doubleheader that game, but it was that
looks like
heat.
G-Man. G-Man had eyes on the
It was hot. I mean, if you looked at it, your boy was sweating. Bob Haney was having his little Temu fan rocking and rolling. Our equipment was overheating. We actually cut out a few times on the air because the equipment was overheating. But you know what? I'm thankful to be able to talk about baseball. I'm thankful for those that listen. And I was thankful when I played, even though that Charleston, South Carolina memory was the most I'd ever sweat in my professional baseball career, Zach. And you want to know why?
Why?
Because that specific day, we were supposed to have it the day prior. And it was to honor the Negro Leagues, where we were going to get special jerseys for the game. So the Yankees provided the jerseys, and they were awesome jerseys. The only problem is that they didn't have that breathable layer that you were hoping for. And the worst part of this is if you don't play a good game and it's that hot outside, that means you're in the field for a long time. And we got our asses kicked, Zach. We were in the field in a 3-hour and 15-minute game. We were probably in the field for almost 3 hours of the game. It was one of those 1, 2, 3 when you were hidden, and then the longest innings out there. And I remembered I came back in after wearing the special uniform, and it really was like in the cartoons where you could twist the shirt and a puddle of just water. Oh, I mean a straight puddle. And then we lost game 2 and then drove to Charlestown, West Virginia to get our Charleston, West Virginia, not Charlestown, Charleston, West Virginia.
Get a little visit by the Toast Man. I guess pay the Toast Man a visit.
Toast
Although I
Man.
guess the way right now with the heat, he probably doesn't even need to toast. He just needs to put the bread on the concrete.
Just sit there. You don't have to power up the toaster. You can just, I don't even know. Just bake me. That doesn't sound right either. You know what? Let's get into this show now, shall we? Enough about my issues and sweating and
I was
whatnot.
going to say, I mean, it's funny. Everyone talking yesterday about, it's hot as could be. Oh man, like you were just saying, like, is it uncomfortable for players in the heat? And I can tell you one guy who it didn't seem to be bothering yesterday. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a couple guys that really, they love the heat, and it is true. Batters can heat up when it's warmer out because you're feeling better. You get in a rhythm. Pitcher can get tired. Well, Jackson Holliday was that case for the Baltimore Orioles, where he was swinging a hot bat. But then on the bump, Mr. Rogers, Trevor Rogers, went out there and pitched. He arguably had the best pitching outing of an Orioles starter back in Boston. And then he goes and has the best pitching outing so far of an Orioles starter in the heat against the Rangers. He goes 8 strong, scoreless, and the Birds take game 1. You're sitting there going, hey, now, Mr. Rogers, this guy, I told you this is who we traded for. And it's a long way to go. But I got to tell you, Zach, I was so damn happy for him because of all the criticism, everything he's dealt with, everything that's happened. And he's been trying to battle back to that form of what he was in 2021. And who knows if he's going to get to that. We don't know what the final result's going to be. But damn, it's got to feel good that in 2 of the 3 outings, he's come up to Baltimore and been just absolute nails.
Yeah.
And looked like a guy that can be a serious part of this rotation if you keep up with that stuff.
Yeah, and I was going to, hate to, but Steve brought it up, not me. The day on Sunday, I did as one of my parting words. I said we would all be speaking after a Trevor Rogers quality start the next day. So I'm going to be honest. When I said quality start, didn't have 8 shutout in mind. Wasn't thinking that quality. But and I said it yesterday. I almost feel bad for Jackson Holliday. Like Jackson Holliday, 3 hits, a triple shy of the cycle, 4 RBIs, and then it's like, hey, Trevor Rogers just threw 8 scoreless, and everyone forgot about Jackson Holliday. Unfortunately, it's like kid had a hell of a game, but Trevor freaking Rogers, man. You know what? Some guys like the heat, but you know what? I know another guy that I don't know. Maybe he likes the heat, maybe he doesn't like the heat, but he lives in a very warm climate down in Miami, down there. And actually, he had a little time to spend of seeing Mr. Rogers over the time. We haven't had him on the last couple of weeks. That's on me.
don't blame him. And we don't have Kyle here to be cooking food, so it can't really torture him as he talks to us. But let's bring on your friend and mine and the member of El Extra Base, Mr. Daniel Alvarez Montes. Daniel, welcome back. Oh, there you are. You're back.
How you doing, guys? Happy to be back and happy to talk about Mr. Rogers. Yeah, it's very warm here. Someone told me that New York is warmer today than Miami.
Yeah, I think he might have you beat too.
Yeah,
I believe it, but man, it's humid down here, and that's the worst part. But Trevor Rogers, man, I had him for a few years here. One of the best guys I've ever known as a person, and I can't be happier for him.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. And also, by the way, I did check the weather, Zach. It's 86 in Miami right now.
Feels like 90 something.
Oh, it feels like 90 something. It's 101 here. Feels like 112. All right. You walk outside. I'm baked.
You get mad walking outside. Like I walk outside, it physically irritates me. I'm like, oh my God, here we go.
Yeah, I mean this is like in the deep South type of hot. Just the Ben McDonald comment. You know, I don't know how Ben McDonald grew up in that Louisiana heat. I'll be honest right there. Hey, shout out the Tigers, by the way, national champs yet again. But Daniel, let's talk about Mr. Rogers, because in 2021, it looked like he was on a trajectory to be one of the best pitchers, especially young pitchers. All-star that year, second in Rookie of the Year voting, and spectacular season. But then maybe you can just touch on the ups and downs he went through. And a lot of that had to do with injury that really set him back, and he could never get his footing. Can you talk a little bit more about what you saw during those tough years with him?
A lot of that, as you mentioned, had to do with injuries, but also personal stuff that happened to him. He lost his grandfather due to COVID. He almost lost his mom due to the same, COVID complications that also affected her with something else. And she spent a lot of time in hospital. And of course, Trevor missed a lot of time, not only because of the injury, but also because he was taking care of his family, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a back issue. I wouldn't be surprised if that had something to do with all the personal stuff that he was going through. But the reality is that he had a second half that wasn't really good. And that's what I think affected him in the voting for Rookie of the Year, because I think he was on a highway to win it unanimously, just like Jonathan India that year almost did. But what I really like about Trevor that year is how he was working with the corners, establishing his fastball, and then that allowed him to throw his slider, throw his changeup that was really good that year. And that's a pitch that he was really having a tough time developing in the minor leagues. And when he got to the big leagues and he was able to use it against lefties, he was pretty effective. So that was a big step for Trevor, who made his debut the year before in that COVID year where the Marlins made the playoffs. And then he was on a really good path to become a really young, good pitcher. Unfortunately, injuries, and then he had a tough time trying to get his mechanics back and his confidence. And when maybe the mechanics were working, maybe the command wasn't working at all, and he had a tough time putting everything together. He worked a lot with Merritt Jr., the pitching coach here in Miami during that time. And I think he got to a point where the best was to find him a new home, some change of scenery. And what we're seeing now is that he's doing pretty good, looking closely to that Trevor that we saw in 2021. Maybe not with a power fastball like he had that year, but man, he's got everything in place, and I really like to see that.
Yeah, and I mean he's been pitching the contact. The two outings that he had extreme success in, Daniel, it was limiting the walks, really just pitching the contact. The strikeout rate wasn't high, but he was around the plate. I mean, Zach, hell, I think even velo-wise, Trevor was getting up to 96 yesterday.
Yeah, Trevor touched 96 twice. I think it was 96, 96.1, and 96.3. His average fastball is up 1.9 miles per hour this season. So.
And, the heat does help. Like when it is 101, which it is here, not in Miami right now, Daniel. I want to emphasize that. Okay, let us have our moment. It's hotter up here.
Of course.
Yeah,
no, have it. I don't envy that, so don't worry.
But but you know what? It's really great to see that Trevor Rogers. And I'm glad you could give that insight, Daniel. I think people do forget the players is people first.
Correct.
And when you're dealing with hardship off the field, then you're dealing with the frustrations of injury and underperformance on it. It's a combination where you can just get into a really tough position. And Trevor Rogers is still a young guy when you're looking at the grand scheme of things with pitchers. And I'm excited for him. And I know people want to look at the trade. I know that Stowers got off to the hot start, and then he's been trying to get going. Norby being injured and trying to find it. I mean, I think overall we might look back at this, Daniel, and go, you know what, this was just good for everybody.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the hope.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
especially if the Marlins at some point, I say usually do end up trading either Kyle or Norby. I think the first one would be more of a candidate than Connor, but and let's see what the return might look there. But yeah, I think it could end up easily as a win-win trade for each team for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about it. One thing because we're gonna apparently there's a list on ESPN out right now. Daniel, don't know if you saw that, but
I saw it.
About players on the trade block, what's the percentage that they get moved, and all of that good conversation, so to speak. And still, we find ourselves going back to the well of the one pitcher that everyone's going to look at. He's in your backyard, Sandy. Sandy for the month of June. Starting to look like the Sandy that is the player that teams would want. 2.74 ERA for the month of June. He's gone 6 strong in 3 of the 4 outings. Talk about what you are seeing from Sandy now, as it seems like he's getting into a little bit of a rhythm here down in Miami.
Better command and confidence. Sandy says that he's always been confident in himself, but
yeah,
the start that he had against the Rockies, he only pitched 6 innings, and I think he was around 75 pitches, and everybody was criticizing Clayton McCullough for taking him out earlier, but I was telling people that maybe this is what Sandy needed, just a start where his line looked like a decent one, like even better than a quality start, because I think it was 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 4 or 5 strikeouts, and that looked pretty good. So I think Sandy needed that to regain his confidence. Sandy told me post-game, hey, that was the plan with Clayton before the start of the game, and if he trusts that, why wouldn't I, right? Mm-hmm. So then he kept looking like old Sandy. Obviously, we haven't seen him yet going 7, 8 innings or 9 innings like we saw in 2022, and I think that's going to be difficult to see, not only from Sandy, but with any pitcher, given the the injury history with everybody and how likely pitchers are to get hurt along the way. So what I'm seeing with Sandy is that he's commanding not only his fastball, but also his breaking ball. He's working with a new curveball that he struggled with in 2023, but he's throwing it more now, and it's working for him. Also with his slider, the changeup that was his best pitch in 2022, that's basically a pitch that got him the Cy Young, because he was able to get strikeouts with that pitch, but also make every single hitter run into a double play when he needed, and that was key for Sandy in those couple of years. So that's what I'm seeing from him, and if he keeps pitching like this, it's going to be only good news for the Marlins, because they definitely want to trade him. And I say this because the return is going to look much better than how it could have looked like a month or 2 ago.
Yeah, I mean, you just said right there, and we've talked about it, it felt like an inevitability that the Marlins would go in this direction because of team control, what the haul they could get back. But I think, and we're going to talk about this article a little bit later on, but Zach, Sandy, what was it? It was 60% they thought?
Yeah, 60.
Get moved?
He sat at number 3 on the list for, I guess, top players available, which I would say number 1, because I don't know if the top 2 are getting
I don't see Bregman available. But Daniel, so in this case, you think this keeps up, Sandy's not going to be a Marlin come the day.
Yeah, and I think it's just a matter of time. I think that one of the first shows that we did at the beginning of the year, it was about when, not about if. And now that Sandy is pitching better, it's definitely good news. And let's remind people that he has a 17 million for next year, and then a team option for just 21 million. So that's a bargain, if you ask me, for a pitcher of his quality. When he's good, when he's healthy, when he's confident, he's one of the best in the game for sure.
No doubt about it. And I'm happy for him. And I know for a lot of players in general, when you're trying to battle back, I always have a soft spot for that, Daniel, just because regardless of the success, regardless of the amount of money that they're making, there's a pride and a desire to go out there and prove your worth.
Yeah.
For Sandy, that's something that he wants to get back to doing. If he continues like he has, he'll be right on that path. And if you guys are new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show, live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. Talking with Daniel Alvarez Montes of El Extra Base. And talk about a guy that's come back, Daniel, from he's had some injury stints over the course of the last few years, but man, he is electrifying. In some cases, I guess the old baseball minds get frustrated with his antics. I think you know who I'm talking about here. Zach knows too. But how about Ronald Acuna Jr.? He has been on an absolute tear. What is that right there?
You gotta do the selling.
Oh,
let it fly. Let it fly. Yeah.
That's the selling right there?
Around the bases.
He's been doing a few things.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
he has a few, yeah. The grenade one with John Morant, he goes like this.
Yeah.
The Euro step at third base. That's a tribute to Miguel Cabrera, by the way, because Miggy used to do that as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Wait, you've been sitting on that, or we just weren't aware? Is this what?
I think you guys weren't aware, but yeah, he's been doing it for a few years now, and he says that Miggy was his favorite player as a kid, so he does that in a tribute to him, and Miggy approves it. Miggy likes it. Miggy's son Christopher, his favorite player is Ronald Acuna Jr., so of course they like it.
See, we didn't. Oh, I didn't know that either.
Okay, now that's completely that's awesome.
Well, and so
it's full circle.
Yeah.
It's a cool tribute to it. And I know it's a whole different conversation on whether you like the new school antics compared to hey, play the game, act like you've been there. I don't mind players showing some excitement, right? I don't mind that part of it. Can players take it over the top at times? Sure. I think that's really cool that he's doing the Euro step in honor of one of his favorite players that he watched. That's awesome. And also, by the way, I should have known better with this because El Extra Base and what you guys are doing, that's your wheelhouse.
Yeah,
anything that has to do with the Latin players, El Extra Base is the place you got to go to. I know I'm plugging it for you, but it's the truth. But talk to me then about Ronald Acuna Jr. About the whole situation. Go ahead.
Yeah, we had him on Friday when the Braves came down to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
I asked him, hey man, if they call you for the home run derby, would you be willing to do it? He's like, yeah, I want to do it. Third time's the charm, and this time being at home, I think he feels like the Atlanta fan base has gave him everything, all the support during the year, so he wants to give it back and be there in the derby. So I wouldn't be surprised if that gets announced pretty soon, because I think he might be getting that invitation. But yeah, man, when I went to see him in Sarasota over a month ago,
mm-hmm.
his first rehab game, it was against the Orioles FCL team, and I asked him, what's your biggest concern and what are you going to work on when you get to AAA? He's like, well, I want to be on time for the fastball. That's my concern. And he only played one rehab game in rookie ball, and then he had like a week to rehab in AAA, and now you see the numbers that he's hitting almost 400 with 9 homers, and in just looking like the best version of himself, even though he's not stealing that many bases. I know, and he mentioned that he was going to be more cautious with that, but man, when he's healthy, he's one of the best, if not the best or most complete player in the league. Obviously, Shohei is in a different status with the pitching side. We all know that, but man, it's tough to find someone that is just as good as an electrifying as Ronald.
I think that's a great point. I mean, Zach, can we think about if we're going through this list on the short list of guys all around that are superstar players. So we're going to say Ohtani because unicorn, and he hasn't thrown, but I mean, he hit 50 home runs and had 50 bags. But what was the year Ronald had? Was it 40 home runs?
70, and playing defense.
Yeah.
That's,
man, he really stinks, man. Who would want a player like that on their team?
Exactly, right? Like, how do you care if he celebrates too much, if he's able to provide that?
Yeah, I mean, and look, I know the Braves, they got back to 500 earlier in the season after the rough start. Then they're trying to scratch and claw to get back. I don't know if they're going to be able to catch the Mets or the Phillies. Those two teams. I know the Mets are struggling right now, but if they get hot, which I think they will, and the Phillies get cold and they get hot, like that's two tough teams that you got to try to get past. But for the short list again, so Ohtani. But
Acuna.
Yeah. I mean, I love Mookie Betts as an overall player. Not like the same.
Or are we talking I was going to say, if we're going electrifying factor, Ronald, and then I would put up there, even though maybe he's on the MVP conversations or stuff, but Ellie De La Cruz, if we're talking about pure
Ellie. Ellie. I love Julio Rodriguez, for example.
Yeah.
When he's on. But Ronald, man, he's just on a different level right now. And I think that one of the most important things is how mature he's looking on and off the field.
Yeah.
Like, forget the celebrations. It's a different person than what we saw 6 or 7 years ago when he broke into the league.
I mean, he comes off his second ACL tear, and people are sitting there going, okay, what is Ronald Acuna going to be like when he comes back? Well, how about in 101 at-bats, he is batting .396 with a 1.213 OPS and 9 home runs and 16 RBIs. So I would say looks pretty decent. That's a decent stat line. I mean, Ryan, we were having conversations. If he would have come back maybe even just a few weeks earlier, and, obviously Ohtani, the unicorn, it's not crazy to think Ronald could make a run for MVP. He's playing that well.
I mean, he is that talented of a player. He
has a 500 on base percentage.
I know the hard part with this is when a guy that's 6'5", that throws 95 to 98 and hits a lot of home runs, as long as he's still in the National League, which at the current moment he's got 26 jacks, that's going to be a little problematic for a guy who I think can rival on a 162 video game numbers. It's going to be a tall task for anybody to try to catch Shohei Ohtani. Like Armstrong, PCW, or is it
PCA? Pedro Armstrong,
PCA, sorry. PCA, I mean, he is having an unbelievable season, but there's still a discrepancy on trying to catch it. They really need to they need to have the Ohtani board and everything.
It's always an interesting conversation. And I had this with this conversation a couple of weeks ago. It's like, well, are we gonna give him the MVP award every year he's pitching? Well, yeah, because he's doing it on an elite level on both sides. However, I think it's a thing about narratives and how good a player can be doing. For example, if we go back to 2022, I think it was, Aaron Judge broke the AL record in home runs, and he was almost the unanimous MVP. So you need a season that historic to beat Shohei, because even though it could look okay, like a really good season just offensively or just on the pitching side, when you add those two, it's a historical season no matter how you look at it. But you need something really historic. For example, a 40-70 season like the one Ronald had 2 years ago. That would be, I think, enough to beat a season like the one Shohei is having right now, for example.
Yeah, I'd be curious. Let's just take the pitching out aside. Ohtani goes 50-50 and Ronald goes 40-70 with the defense. That to me would have been really interesting.
Yeah.
Take out pitching, right? But think about how ridiculous both those numbers just sounded. All of that. 50-50, 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases, 40 home runs, 70 stolen bases.
I mean, 30-30 is a big deal. And we're talking about 40-70, 50-50. Like, that just shows you the saying, there's levels to this. Like, a good to great player having a 30-30 season is like, wow, what a year. And these guys are like, if they hit 30-30, you're like, okay, is it like halfway through the season? Like,
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
all they did.
it's like literally it's like you sit there and you're like, oh, he only was 40-40. He was only 30. You know, it's like these guys just they set a bar above greatness.
Yeah.
They really did. They really did. And I mean, that's the beauty of the game of baseball. And I think in all sports, I know people have their favorite teams, but if you love ball, like I love ball, I love going out there and seeing guys do their damn thing, regardless of the team. The appreciation of how hard the game is, and to go out and make it seem that simple and effortless, you gotta just applaud, because you never know when you're gonna see these type of transcendent talents walk their way into the big leagues. You hope, but there's no guarantee you're going to see a talent that as electrifying as Ronald Acuna Jr., or you're going to see a guy like Shohei Ohtani, which we still haven't seen someone go and accomplish what he has done on the mound and at the plate. Daniel, I got to say, I love having you back. We got to get you on the schedule.
Sure.
My fault, okay? Hey, me. But Kyle was asking me too with the Iron Rooster. He's like, hey, when's Daniel coming back on? I said, well, it's actually this week. We're actually not cooking tomorrow. We're cooking, I think, Thursday. So we'll make sure to get you on cue, because we need some.
We need to do something with either the Cuban sandwich or the arepa. No, I need you guys.
It's on the short list.
Yeah.
Hey, I know we've been plugging.
And you have to plan the trip to Miami too.
Miami, because it's cooler this time.
It's cooler here.
Cooler this time of year. You kidding me? Hey, you know what? And shout out our boys over at Gary Williams Stole My Lawn Furniture Show. Say that 5 times fast. LX has earned our follow just off of the Eurostep Miggy Nugget. So Daniel Alvarez Montes, where can people find you and find El Extra Base on the socials?
So you can find El Extra Base, I think, here at El Extra Base. You can see it there on the screen at Daniel Alvarez EE. EE stands obviously for El Extra Base, and elextrabase.com, El Extra Base on YouTube. We'll be posting an interview with Dave Dombrowski this week, and we'll be going to the All-Star game in 3 weeks from now. Hopefully we can see Ronald there in the Derby and many stars, and follow for more.
Awesome. Daniel, friend of the show, friend of the program.
Thank you so much.
And I always love having you on. It's a blast.
Thank you,
and pencil in if you're available. We got to have you. We got to have you on next week. All right.
For sure. Let's do it.
All right, perfect. Appreciate you. Have a great day. Hey, stay cool down there. Put on a jacket down there.
Good night, thank you, man.
Everybody. You know what? I love making the connections. He was one of the connections we got to meet down in spring training.
Yeah.
And I love him, man. He's fun. El Extra Base is fantastic. Seriously, go check out for all. They cover all baseball, but like all the Latin.
Yeah. They're not going to get any better coverage than that.
Yeah. And you know what? Yeah. Get a parka down there in Miami. Drop down to 85 degrees at this moment in time. But also, I love the fact of full circle. So if you guys are new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We do this live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. And if you're just tuning in live right now, just was with Daniel Alvarez Montes of El Extra Base, and he spends a lot of time down in Miami. So the first part, I love that tidbit on Trevor Rogers. I love that insight in the background of a guy trying to work through things personally and also professionally. And then Sandy, I really think that Sandy is getting back to that form, and we're talking about teams that need to make some decisions and on what it's going to take to get a caliber that Sandy is for the bargain. It's a bargain, the contract that he has right now, if you're looking for the ceiling of an elite pitcher, right? So I think that leads into this conversation here. Which, before we get into this conversation, I got to find my studio pup here. Ollie, come. He disappeared. I think he was upset because he didn't get a treat. Ollie want a treat?
Oh, wait, he's in the corner. I see him now.
Oh, Ollie.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wait, he's under the table.
Ollie, Ollie.
There he is.
He emerged. Okay, I thought we lost him in here.
Yeah, he was camouflaged.
He just got a little bit camera shy, you know? And no one wants, he does not want to be out in the heat. You
Hell
kidding
no.
me? Look at that face right now. Does that look like a dog that wants to be out in the heat? No, that looks like a dog that's saying, give me a treat. I got to give him a treat now. But Zach, why don't you tell our audience real quickly, we're supposed to go to Merritt Club tomorrow for our next show.
Yeah. So hopefully tomorrow we will be joining our friends up at Merritt Clubs to have a live show there. I know we had one. We got some slide action in the background going. Hopefully to Canton tomorrow. So if this heat can stay away, because goodness gracious, it's hard to walk outside. So, but we should tomorrow be live with our friends over at Merritt Clubs. Make sure if you're looking for a gym, join Merritt Clubs. It's a great experience. And hey, go to Canton. It's that rooftop pool, something. And then we see little doggo getting a treat here. Yeah, he's literally just tasting it. He refuses to.
Okay.
There it is.
There we go.
And what's up, Duran? How you doing?
He was very gentle pup. He didn't even eat it. Okay, there he goes.
All right, there he goes.
There we go. Beautiful. And you know what? We are excited about going to Merritt Clubs, and shout out them again. It's been a fun experience. It's been a fun ride. I mean, Zach and I were doing a little bit of a workout over there.
Oh, yeah.
To show the people what it's all about. We might just jump in the pool tomorrow. Definitely hot enough to do that.
I was gonna say, I'm in.
We are in. But we did talk about trading, right? And players on the block and all this conversation, which I think leads into this article that we just saw on ESPN that we alluded to just in the last segment there with Daniel. And look, there is some decisions that need to be made. Do the Orioles sell? Do any other top teams that are looking to reshuffle sell? Or are you just trying to get a good player for the right price? So the article, Zach, was out on ESPN. And I'm sorry, it wasn't Jeff Passan. It was
Jeff Passan and Kylie McDaniel.
Okay, so it was.
Collabed on it, and they will be updating this, as he said, as the season and we get closer to the trade deadline. But they listed the 50 top trade candidates in Major League Baseball. And for the top, I believe, 30, they gave percentages on how likely they believe they will be traded. So let's bring that up real fast. Oh, no, got the wrong. There it is.
There it is. Whammy.
Whammy.
So according to the article here, okay, this was the percentage that these players would be moved, correct? Yes. So when we're looking at this, you can see here's.
I was going to say real fast. Felix Bautista says 15%, and Zach Eflin 75%. Realized after I made it that the 1s and 7s look ridiculously close, but
very close.
Yeah,
I think people would be very upset if Felix Bautista was 75%.
Yeah, so Felix is 15%, which should be lower in my head, but you know.
Yeah, I think it should be in the negatives, but that's just me. But interesting enough, the two guys at the top of the list, Cedric Mullins and Ryan O'Hearn, each above 70%, with Ryan O'Hearn being the highest at 85%. Now, Zach Eflin, 75%. And then Ramon Urias and Tomoyuki Sagano
were just they were
just thrown in.
Yeah, I was going to say they were at the end of the article. I believe the final 20 were just not given percentages, but guys that they believe are on the kind of on the chopping block who could be traded over the next month. So obviously you have the usual suspects. We talk about it all the time. Cedric, O'Hearn, Eflin, and Sagano. But then Felix Bautista and Ramon Urias was, I believe, number 36 on this ranking. So that's a guy that I don't think a lot of people have maybe talked about in the trade destinations. But hell, if you're a team fighting for a playoff spot and you need a guy that, hey, we don't want a guy to be a star. We're not going out looking for a star, but we're looking for somebody who can come in, maybe not play every day, Maybe he's just taking over for a few weeks, a month or so during an injury. Maybe it's you want a bench piece, a guy who can come off the bench and produce. Ramon Reyes is exactly that. And that I could see him being a bigger trade chip than maybe if, they do decide to sell at the deadline. I think he could be a bigger trade chip than maybe we believe.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out in my mind, because I understand and I know, think I have a pretty good pulse on what the front office is thinking and what they've done in the past. I think a lot of people, if you follow the team, you can see patterns. Mm-hmm. The one thing, though, that we have noticed is when there is a good deal that you feel like you can't pass that part up. So we're going back to 2022 with Trey Mancini, Jorge Lopez, that brought a good return for the Orioles in the process, right? I guess with me in this case, my feelings, Zach, on if you want to keep guys, trading them away and giving the opportunity that they might not come back, that's a bold move to have, because you're allowing them to go to a different space where they could fall in love with where they are, or they are valued in a different way. And that leads to them not coming back to Baltimore, so I think that's at the bottom of the list. But the other part of it is, you got to draw a line in the sand of who you want to be a part of your team when you are expected to go and win the AL East next year. The Orioles are going to be expected to win the AL East next year. Then just on the pitching side, I really think some pitchers could be available, but who are the pitchers that the Orioles would have for their actual rotation if you do that, right? I could understand Sagano being moved or Eflin, but outside of Brandon Young in the minor leagues, Zach, who is the rotation? Cade Povich comes back. Great. Mm-hmm. Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells are not going to be expected until August, maybe September, just depending on how it plays out, right? So do you actually have the arms to go out there and pitch?
And I think that's something that people don't necessarily think about when they're like, oh, trade, Eflin, trade Sagano, trade Morton, and just get as many prospects as you can back. Makes sense if you're not thinking about, hey, we need, after the trade deadline, 50, 60 games to cover? It's like, in a nutshell, it looks like, oh, yeah, no, get as much value as possible. Who are you sending out? Like, are you now throwing out just AAA players? And now, while we're trying to develop your, guys like Gunnar still, guys like Holiday, all that, are you going to be doing that while they're down 10-0, 6-0 in the first two innings because you don't have any major league level pitchers on the roster in the rotation? I mean, it doesn't make sense from a team perspective. Feel like if you're going to trade one of them, yeah, that makes total sense. But seeing people where it's like, hey, I saw someone on Twitter today say he needs to see 8 to 10 players traded that aren't a part of the future plans. Like, where's the roster? After, are we just AAA Norfolk plus at that point? You got to still field a major league team.
And I know, call me crazy, or what they say in Austin Powers, Zach, because I knew you were just going to say this line because you know it religiously like me. I used to think you were crazy, but now I can see you're nuts. Thank you. But I know people might think I'm crazy with this logic. I think the Orioles are going to battle back into this. I am not saying the Baltimore Orioles are going to make the playoffs. I'm not saying that. But when we're sitting at this list, Texas is in town right now. You just won game one. You win this series. Do you feel like you can play better than Texas, who you are 3.5 games back from right now, Zach? Do you think you could? I think so. How about the Angels, who you swept in Baltimore? They're 38-40. They are 4 games ahead of you. Do you think you can make up ground against them? I think so. How about the Twins? Well, maybe not the Twins. Well, luckily they don't have to play the Twins because the Twins had the Orioles number this year. But Kansas City Royals are only 4 games ahead of the Orioles. The Red Sox, who are going through it right now, if they're trying to find their identity, they've lost 3 straight. They're back at 500. The Orioles are 5 games back from the Red Sox. And how about the Seattle Mariners, who they went out and had arguably their best series of the season? They have the final wild card spot at 40-37. A team, that third wild card spot, I know people were saying, hey, it's going to be closer to 90. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that it's going to take 90 wins to get in the dance this year. I think the AL has so much parity that 86 could be the number. Hell, I think 85 could be the number. Right now, the Mariners are 3 games over 500 for that final spot, Zach. So 3 games over 500 for a 162-game season puts us at what? At
trying to do math.
I don't even know. I know like 83 and 79 would be 162 games.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know if you can be with 3 games. Well, yeah, no. Why is my math so off with this?
No, yes, 83 and 79. So 84.
That's 162.
78, 85 and 77.
So that'd be 8 games over 500 for that point. Like, I think that's a team could get hot, but I mean, you know what, that the team right in front of them, the Blue Jays, they're 5 games over 500 right now. That's a second wild card spot. Tampa Bay's 8. I think Tampa Bay is going to continue to play well. I trust
No one wants
them.
it in the AL. No one wants it in the AL.
But it's interesting because when you look at the National League has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams fighting for a wild card spot that are over 500. In the American League right now, there are teams that are in the hunt. There's only 1 team over 500, and that's the Cleveland Guardians, a half game behind the Mariners. Think about that, right? So there is so much that can happen here, and I'm excited to see where this season goes. You know what I'm really excited about is the development, but I think for the Orioles, they have 5 weeks now until the trade deadline, Zach. 5 weeks.
Yeah.
They are 10 games under 500. If they close the gap to 4 games with 2 full months left, I don't know if you go full all out. I think, though, when we're looking at that list again, and I don't want to see this happen. I do not want to see Cedric Mullins moved. I don't want to see Ryan O'Hearn moved if you feel like you're in it. But if you were to move one of those guys, I would say I could see them moving Cedric because they have a lot of outfielders.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if Kowser's healthy and Carlson's there and you have, I don't know what's going to happen with Tyler O'Neill. Ramon Laureano's there. You know, Ramon Laureano could get moved. You know what I mean? Like, this is why it's a weird deadline. Let's flip the script here for a second. This is a little exercise. I didn't think I'd go this way. And if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We do this live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook Live. So if you're on Facebook, I see you guys. Thank you for the likes over there. But let's play this game. Sandy's pitching better for the Marlins, or some pitchers out there that you really want.
Yeah.
And you could move a couple prospects and a player to have him. Would you do it?
Yeah.
I don't think that the Orioles are going to get Sandy because I think the Marlins, I don't know if they would double dip down with Miami. I don't know if that's going to happen. But, I mean, Zach, you're planning for 26. I think the Orioles got to be looking for an arm if they think it's there for the value.
If it's possible, like, that's the thing is, like, just because your plan is 2026, if that is, like, that doesn't mean that you don't you don't just stop trying to, like, improve the team even for 2026. So, like, if you can do a deal where you get, hey, yeah, we're trading Cedric Mullins. All right, you know, in this example, they trade Cedric Mullins, they trade, Ramon Arias, maybe they trade Eflin. But, you're sitting there and you're like, oh, the Orioles are selling. But then some team comes around and it's like, hey, multiple years of control, for a pitcher. They want, some younger position players. It's a, hey, help me help you type situation. Why wouldn't you kick the tires on it at least? Like, just because you're in a sell mode, like, this isn't a sell mode in the fact of, like, oh, you're selling for 3 years down the line. You're still trying to compete next year. Like, like you said, Ryan, the goal for the Orioles next year is going to be win the AL East. That's not going to suddenly stop. So if you can get someone this trade deadline that can help you in the second half plus next year, why wouldn't you kick the tires? Why wouldn't you try? Just because you're selling doesn't mean it's, okay, we can only do things that hurt the team this season, and then we'll go for it next year. If there's a guy available that you're like, hey, if we get him, he can help us a little this year, but he's going to be a part of the main plan in 2026, go for him.
Yeah,
why not?
And the thing here, and I see this about what you don't want is O'Hearn and Mullins. You keep them and you miss the playoffs. I don't like to look at it that way. I think if you keep those guys, you keep them long term. That's my opinion. Yeah. If you are going to keep those guys, I hope you have a plan to keep them for the long run. Because if not, all right, and you're back into it, I can still live with the fact that the Orioles were 2 games out, 3 games out, and you're saying we're going for it because the AL is wide open. And I think that's the crazy thing here, Zach. It's not us just saying this isn't for the Orioles. If I'm another American League team, if you're trying to win, who's actually sellers besides the White Sox? Right? The A's, yes, the A's can be sellers, but the A's have a good core. Who do they want to get rid of that's a young core? You're not getting rid of Jacob Wilson. You're not getting rid of Mason Miller, right? Like, they have good pieces over there. Butler, right? Like, they got pieces. It's crazy to me to think that, yeah, you could include the A's in this, but the only team surefire that is looking to get prospects and looking to get guys is the Chicago White Sox. Every other team is not out of this right now. It is June 24th. And every team except the A's and the White Sox are within 6.5 of the wild card spot. On the flip side, in the National League, you have 4 teams that are 10 or further behind.
Don't let the Rockies get hot.
Don't let the Rockies get
5
hot.
5 their last 10 games. Don't let them get hot.
Do not. I love the manager, by the way, being don't let us get hot. Don't let us get hot. I love these conversations. We love having them with you guys, but it's just a thought here. It's an exercise, right? So much can happen. And for Baltimore, we do know that they are going to make a deal that if they think that the offer's too good, they will give up a player. But I think regardless of it, with all these pending free agents, if you make a choice to keep some guys that are in question, the plan is you hope to have them in Baltimore moving forward because the Orioles are not looking to restart here. You have pieces in place. And I don't think the injury bug's going to be as bad next year. And imagine with a even healthier squad with Jordan Westberg, all-star. Jackson Holliday could be an all-star. Gunnar Henderson, all-star. Colton Cowser, all-star caliber player. They got a great young nucleus here. And hopefully Adley gets healthy again. I'm still in on Adley. And by the way, there is a catcher that's knocking down the door in AAA in Samuel Basayo, who I think is going to make a big impact when the time comes, but he's not the savior of the Baltimore Orioles. Let's just say that. And let's also just say this. If you are new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We do this live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. And when I move, you move, Zach.
Just like that.
And just like that, it's a good time before we get into some more of this baseball conversations. We do have some baseball news here, and it involves what we're doing for our Saturday show this week. And I think it's a good time, an appropriate time, also to check in on how your bets did last week, Zach. Let's take a quick trip to our friends up at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. Did you not say anything there?
No, West Virginia. We harmonized so well that you couldn't even tell.
I don't know. I feel like I'm bringing way more energy right now.
No, that was all me.
Are you going to change? Okay. Are you going to bring it, though, when we're up there on Saturday at Charlestown Races?
Guess people will have to tune in and show up to find out.
Well, hopefully you tune in, you have chances to win, but come join us up there at Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races as we will be live there on Saturday in between 4 to 7, but we'll be there before and maybe a little bit after because we like to have a little fun. We always seem to have a little bit of a cheers and a celebration. Joey, who I know is somewhere in the chat there, he joined us for a little tequila shot there up at the ESPN Sportsbook. But if you're a baseball fan, stop traffic. Mr. National Ryan Zimmerman is actually going to be on site. So you're going to have a chance to meet him. He's going to join the show. And you're going to have a chance then to win some raffle items or some items with us on the show. You have chances to win items there. And hell, Zach, you wear a uniform up there, any baseball jersey. It can be O's. It can be Nats. It could be Rays. It can be Yankees. Maybe don't wear the Yankees, but it still counts. You get a raffle ticket automatically, just like that. So Ryan Zimmerman, he will join us on the show on Saturday, and we will all be up there at Charlestown Races at Hollywood Casino up there. So we hope to see you then. And then there's also a way to win more and give back to the Zim Foundation that helps with more research, and the funds go to MS for those dealing with MS. So excited about that. Can't wait for Hollywood Casino. But Zach, you've been on a cold streak.
Yeah.
And it's woof woof. But what do we got opening up this Tuesday?
We're starting out. If you're going to have the best in the world on the mound, might as well take advantage of it. Going to Detroit. Detroit Tigers versus the Sack with the Athletics. We're going Tariq Skubal over 20.5 outs recorded. Guy goes 7 innings. 7 innings, and I know it's like, whoa, betting a pitcher to go 7 innings. This is Tariq Skubal. And there's some times where players in a different stratosphere. And this is one of those times where I just think you got the best pitcher in the league. Might as well take advantage of it. So that's what we're going to do to start it off. We're going for Tariq Skubal over 20.5 outs recorded. And ESPN bet. Know a lot of people are looking maybe for another sport book after certain controversy. So ESPN bet.
Controversies, huh?
Yeah, the old FD is under a lot of heat right now. That's for sure.
Well, and for talking about with your bet here for Skubal, he has gone 7 innings in 3 of his last 4 outings, including a 7-inning performance against the Baltimore Orioles, where he gave up no earned runs. Goodness, he has a 1.33 ERA for the month of June. Yeah. Goodness gracious, he is good. 2.06 ERA on the season. But if you are willing to tail Zach, or you want to find something in the opposite realm, I don't know, either or, whatever you want to do, well, guess what? Stop traffic. ESPN Bet has a new player option bonus. Bet $10. You get 100 in bonus bets. And if you download the app, you have a chance also, depending on the new player bonus, to get 30 days of ESPN Plus free. Just for downloading that and putting in the bet. But you must be 21 or older. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or our friend Rocco DeSangro for all of your issues. So there it is. We appreciate it. And we'll see all of our friends up there at Hollywood Casino Charlestown Races in West Virginia on Saturday. Should be a great time. We always have fun up there watching the games. And you know, Daniel, I saw this comment. Every game. And you know, I saw this conversation. Where is, you're not going to be at the game for your dad's bobblehead. No. You know what? He didn't answer my text, Zach. So
it's because of the commercial that they did. The acting was so good that the tickets just sold out too quick.
Yeah. I wasn't on the short list.
Yeah.
You know,
because of the acting.
All I want is just a text message from my father. That's all I want. That's all I want back. I don't need one of these.
Oh,
pow, pow, pow. I'm curious. I haven't opened it yet because I'm mad at him.
You know what? It would actually be hilarious if you opened that and there was nothing in it.
Honestly, I don't feel like there's anything in it.
Like, that would be so funny. They just sent it, nothing in it. Just put it on the.
Well, I know for sure this isn't one of the ones that Calvin was signing. Apparently, he signed some, right? Mm-hmm. And then if you go there, it just like randomly, you might just pull one with a little
Which is
CRJ.
actually, I will say, that's a really cool idea.
That is cool.
But you know what I'm thinking about? You know, like some people will get those and like they don't, you know, it's a big thing. Like, don't open them. Like, you know, just keep in the box. Like, oh, you don't want to. Imagine if someone gets it that's signed and it's like they just keep it in the box having no clue. Like, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Also, why didn't he just sign all 20,000? Not enough time?
Yeah, honestly, seriously, I thought he was a man of the people. Well,
been playing all those games, but can't sign 20,000.
Yeah, honestly, played all those games. You have all those teeth and no toothbrush, as Bobby Boucher would say. Joe, I don't know if no, I can tell you this is not the signed one. If we maybe, I don't like to ask for those types of things, but if we did get to that point where I could do a giveaway for that would have been a good idea. That would have been a good idea for that. But you know what? I don't get any text. So you know what? We won't open this. This will not be opened until I get a text back. We might open it in the time, but not today. Tomorrow or Thursday, we will open it and see what is happening overall. But Zach, let's get back to a little baseball conversation. It's been a great show so far. I got to say, the energy has been good. Minus Zach.
It's just hot. It's too hot out here.
Yeah. Honestly, I thought about doing tarps off for the show.
That would have been something.
Tarps off. I actually golfing yesterday, or a part of the media event. And I was telling about I was at one of my best friend's wedding, and it was 15 out of 10. Honestly, if we can go even higher, probably 110 out of 10. But it got hot. And fortunately, my buddy let me, one of my best friends as well, tarp was able to be loosened up. And I'll tell you what, I was contemplating, would that be frowned upon at Pickles for the tarp to come off while doing the pregame show? Depends on who you ask.
I was going to say. Depends.
But it's yeah.
Tarps off at Pickles would be interesting. I don't know if you'd have to have the right crew. You'd have to do it late enough and close enough to the game where people have had enough orange crushes that no one really notices. That's probably the way to go. Could be.
Do you believe in magic? Well, you know what? Temperatures have been hot here, but the tempers might have not been as hot as they were out in Omaha for the College World Series, which came to a conclusion with LSU back on top, winning the whole damn thing. And I know it's a tough one for the Razorbacks, for our Razorbacks faithful there, Joe being one of them. I wanted to see Arkansas for a little of the parity, and they've had some unfortunate moments out there. But congrats to LSU. They take down Coastal Carolina, who was the hottest team. Won 26 straight until game one. What was it, Kate? Was it Kate Anderson that pitched that?
Yeah, Kate Anderson.
Just
absolutely unreal.
1-0 complete game shutty.
I like how he had 10 Ks, and then in his post-game press conference was like, yeah, I didn't have the strikeout. Again, wasn't getting a lot of strikeouts today, so I had to work extra hard. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Great. Just in the biggest game of your career so far, went out there and shoved to the hottest team in all of college baseball.
Like 126 pitches?
Yeah. Yeah. But he left it all out there. You know what? There was some impressive college performances, obviously, right? This College World Series, right? There was some sensational ones, but shout out to Kate Anderson for his specific. We already gave our flowers in the past, but winning 1-0 game, finding a way. So it's set up for what I thought was going to be a good rest of the best of three, right? And not saying that this would have changed anything, Zach, but we got to talk about what happened in game two, right? We have to talk about that. And for those that hadn't been watching, right? There was one of the quickest ejections in a national championship that I could recall. Are we on the same page there? So for those that didn't see this, sorry, I was trying to pull up the thing that I wanted to pull on my screen. I apologize here, Zach. So here we go. Sorry. So to set this all up, Coastal Carolina head coach Kevin Schnall was tossed from the game, right? So I'm trying to think what's the best way to show this, Zach. Do we start with the moment where it's about balls and strikes? You can't argue that you can lead to ejection, but people do to an extent, right? Like it's a part of the game. But let's play the ejection first.
Yeah.
And we're going to work our way back. So let's pull that video up real quickly. All right. So right here, Kevin's yelling, you've missed 3 pitches already, right? If we're reading his mouth, you've missed 3 already. And then immediately gets tossed. And if you look at the top of there, 2 outs in the first inning, bottom of the first. The head coach of the Coastal Carolina, the Chance, is tossed. And he's sitting there, and this is where it's going to escalate. And this is where it kind of gets crazy, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you're going to see this. You're going to see another umpire come flying in. And he's going to stumble, which is an interesting moment. Watch him throw up his hands for 2. So you look at the right hand right there. He's saying 2. And you're going, wait a minute. If you listen to the broadcast, they're still believing. I can't believe he got called out or he got ejected in the national championship. Whoa. But the umpire right there throws up 2. And why did he throw up 2? He is claiming Kevin Schnall right there bumped him, and that automatically leads to a 2-game suspension. So if the Chance were to win game 2, he was not going to be able to coach that game. Yeah. And it's a wild circumstance here, right? Because I understand that umpires get criticized tremendously, right? Sometimes it's very warranted. Other times it's just a part of the nature of the business, right? But he goes down, and it looks like to me he trips either over the other umpire's feet, or whatever it may be, Zach, legs up in the air. That is
going to say, like, this is. And then just right back like nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
2.
Oh, that's
2.
So
that's
the reason
2.
why we're showing this is because then the first base coach gets ejected also, by the way, for Coastal Carolina. So you have 2 guys gone. But now let's get to the explanation on the other side from Kevin Schnall so we can put the pieces back together. So this is Kevin Schnall after the game explaining what he heard or saw and then explain the entire interaction. So, Zach, let's play that clip.
There's 25,000 people there, and I vaguely hear a warning issued. As the head coach, I was an assistant for 24 years, and as an assistant, you're almost treated like a second level citizen, and you can't say a word. Now, as a head coach, I think it is your right to get an explanation of why we got warned. And I'm 48 years old. I shouldn't get shooed by another grown man, right? So when I come out to ask what the warning is, a grown man shooed me. So at that point, I can now hear him say, it was a warning issued for arguing balls and strikes. And at that point, I said, because you missed 3. At that point, ejected. If that warrants an ejection, I'm the first one to stand here like a man and apologize. 2 words that define our program are own it. And what does that mean is you have to own everything that you do without blame, without defending yourself, without excuses. If you guys watched the video, there was a guy that came in extremely aggressively, tripped over Campos's foot, embarrassed in front of 25,000, immediately goes 2-game suspension and said, bumping the umpire. Immediately does that. There was no bump. He was embarrassed. I shouldn't be held accountable for a grown man's athleticism. They'll retract it, though, because now it's excessive. And the reason why it's excessive, because I was trying to say, I didn't bump him. It is what it is. But if that warranted an ejection, man, there'd be a lot of ejections.
So, a couple things here, okay? I appreciated the detailed response. And 25,000 people being there and, you know, an umpire in the circumstances, I get it. That it's like a common thing where, hey, like enough, or they do some type of movement. But I understand Kevin's point of, hey, if I didn't hear it, I want to know what you're talking about, even though Kevin kind of knows what he's already talking about, right? If they're barking at your dugout and then your response is you've missed 3, I think everyone knows what you were arguing, right?
Yeah.
I still don't think in that game, I want to give some grace period. I would love to see some grace period. I don't want to see it get to that point, right? I don't. The next part, though, is probably one of the most, is that like one of the most backhanded insults or one of the most diabolical insults of not going after and saying this person is this person is that, just going, I shouldn't get punished for someone else's athleticism. That's got to be an all-time high of disses in a post-game presser.
That was as close to saying, yeah, why did I get punished because this fool can't stay on his own 2 feet, without saying it. Like it was the most beautiful, like, why am I being held accountable for another grown man's athletic ability, knowing it's more lack of athletic ability? I have to side with the coach here. I think the umpire was embarrassed. He was like, I just fell on my ass and did a complete backward somersault in front of 25,000. I got to act like I was pushed. I think it is very much just that. That's why he put up the 2. He's like, yeah, no, bumped. Like this is on him. This is on him. And it was just, kind of the scapegoat. Like at no point you can see very clearly coming up here, he trips over the guy's, one ump even like almost pushes him away. Look at the one ump's left arm.
That foot is just up there.
The ump is literally in like, hey, oh, you're falling. Like, hey. Like that ump throws him.
Oh, that's a good stop right there. And look, I do feel like it is an embarrassing moment. Like I
would have done this. I would have hit that coat with 2 as well.
Hey, you know what? 2. Shirts and pants. I feel for the umpire on that standpoint, right? That it is an embarrassing. I mean, right now his legs are just, they say put your hands up and shout. It's like put your feet up and
shout,
toss.
Put your feet out and shout 2+.
Shout 2+. Like, I completely think that is unwarranted for how it happened, right? Now, if he had tripped over even the manager or he wasn't running in and he fell over something else, like, sure. But in that case, the 2 was excessive. I understand why he did it. And I think that got way out of hand. Like I said, is this going to change the outcome of the game? LSU deserves to win the national championship, right? They won game 1. We just talked about Cade Anderson. We talked about the great season that they had. They deserve to win this game. But, man, the one thing that I hate, and I know it gets tight, and in sports, it gets tense. But when you're in the national championship, right, there's no guarantee that you get back. Like, we talk about winning in all sports. And I know that the expectation for wherever you go in professional sports, your team is not, we want to get to the playoffs. You want to win, right? But you also have to appreciate how hard it is to get to where you are. And there's no guarantee that that Coastal Carolina is going to get back to the national championship. That group, and Kevin Schnall is the coach, there's no guarantee that they are going to see that success. You hope for them, but you don't know. And because of a early conflict, you toss the manager in the first inning. It's just, whether it was warranted or not, I don't know if I could have pulled that right there, Zach. And I would have done one more time after he gave me the 3. I would have said, hey, one more, you're done.
Yeah.
And if he did it again, all right, I gave you then, according to that, 2 or 3 warnings. But clearly Kevin's saying I didn't see the warning, but he clearly knew what he was warned about, Zach. Like, that makes sense. Like, he knew what the warning was entailing.
Like, he went to he tried to get the final jab in before going back, being like, well, yeah, we're arguing it because you've missed 3. Like, it wasn't what is it because of the 3 you've missed? Or like, it wasn't a genuine, like, he was trying to take that shot and be like, hey, yeah, we're arguing because 3 pitches that are costing us right now. So I get why he did it, but it's the national championship. Like if this was another game, then yeah, you'd probably get tossed there. If this was the 9th inning and stuff had been boiling over all game and they'd give multiple warnings and stuff, then I get it. First inning of the national championship and we're tossing coaches. And especially for that, like if he would have got, if he gets up in your face and he's, going off on you, there's obviously exceptions. Like then, yeah, that's on the coach. But I think this was manager kind of trying to get that last jab in, and then things escalated from there.
They certainly did. And for the Coastal Carolina Chants, it ended with LSU sweeping the championship series, but Coastal Carolina had one of the best runs, winners of 26 in a row to get to the national championship. One of the best seasons for them, one of the best runs. It's just, you hate that that's how it had to go down, but congratulations to LSU, champs yet again. I know Big Ben McDonald, he's happy down there with those Tigers. Go Tigers. They are on top of the college baseball world yet again. And yeah, Brooks and I were talking about this little topic here. It is interesting, the college dynamics to the pro dynamic of hitters telling the bench what pitch they saw from the batter's box. Yeah, that doesn't fly, and it's not supposed to fly in pro ball, and definitely things will get handled, but it's not the professional league baseball back then, or right now it's college baseball, even though you can argue that college athletics is becoming more and more like professional sports by the year, especially when you look at the football landscape. But that's for a different time. And if you're new to the channel, though, hit that like and subscribe on Ryan Ripken Show. We do this live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right here on YouTube and X and Facebook. And we also are out on Spotify, Apple, and wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to listen when you're on the drive, check out the Ryan Ripken Show and leave us a review. I also will post some of our Legends interviews on there as well, so you can listen while you're on the drive. But we appreciate you guys getting out the good word here. It's been a lot of fun. We're actually about to approach our 2 years of the Ryan Ripken Show ever first starting, which was BZ before Zach.
Yeah.
And it was just once every couple weeks for Brad and I. But the consistency of the show started in September of 2023, and it's fun to see how far we have come. If you missed last Legends series, by the way, Bobby Witt Sr. joined and told us a phenomenal bus story from the minor leagues. And we got a great new guest that's coming up on Sunday, Zach. I think definitely people are going to remember who that is and what is going on. So
I think so too.
I think so as well. I think it's
maybe
safe to say.
they might recognize the name here and there. Maybe a little bit.
Oh yeah. And we got a great list of guests that are coming up for this week too, by the way. I guess I can tell you a couple at the moment since you guys are still tuning in. Tomorrow, Tim Kirchin is going to join the show, as we are going to be live at Merritt Clubs, hoping that the equipment will stay cool. But our plan is to be at Merritt Clubs doing it live for the show. We might be talking to an Oriole tomorrow.
Maybe.
We might be. I'm curious how he would do on the Papa Shot. I know they got a competitive family, so I'd be curious to see how he would do. No one's breaking my record at the moment. 116.
We know how he is on the Golden Tee bucket. Maybe the Papa Shot. We'll check it out.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I might take that cake right now.
Guess we might have to find out.
Cake. What else am I missing? We talked a little bit about the Ronald Acuna Jr.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we want to talk about? Like, do we want to really talk about it more? Or
Well, okay, let's talk about it in the fact of this. All right. So here's Ronald Acuna. We talked about earlier with Daniel, but he's having an absolutely unreal return. 101 at bats, batting 396, 9 home runs, 16 RBIs. He got, I think, a 1.2818 OPS. I mean, as good of a start as you can get. But the one thing that's always irked people about Ronald Acuna is he is not afraid to celebrate when he hits a home run. So here was last night's celebration.
Mm-hmm.
We got his John Morant, throw the grenade, cover it. We get the flying, then we get his little Euro step. We now know is for Miguel Cabrera. And then, I mean, hey, it doesn't stop on the bases. It doesn't stop on the bases. And, people don't appreciate that. But, Ryan, I would love to know your opinion on it.
I mean, look, I'm all about guys. I don't want guys to be robots, and I didn't hit enough home runs myself to be able to go out there and do that. That's just not how I was. When I hit a home run, I just round the bases because I'm like, you know what? I'm not good enough to do what Ronald Acuna Jr. can do, right? There's a flashiness that comes with it. I think when people look at it, it was him celebrating at every base, right? It's you're doing in the bunker with the grenade at first. You're flying around second, and you're Euro stepping at third. I think that's where people go, okay, that's excessive. And I know in this situation, this is a clear case for me. He's on your team. You love every second of it, even if you're not about that style. But if you're not about that style and it's on another team, you're going to go, damn, what the hell has the game become? Right. And I get that, right? Like that all of it might be a little bit too much for me, but I'd rather Ronald Acuna Jr. play with the electricity and be that type of caliber of player than to be such a robot where you don't maybe have that swagger and confidence that makes him, right? Like each player, you got to find out how you can go out there and play. Manny Machado all those years played with some flair. Did that piss people off? Sure. Is Manny Machado one of the best players? Yeah. And it does come with a little bit of maturity as you get older too. Times change. I think people do forget that Ronald Acuna Jr. is not the oldest player in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
He's 27, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to celebrate around all the bases, but I'm not losing sleep over this. I like seeing great players playing. You know what? You did the damn thing. The one thing I'll say with this, though, and this is not allowed, is back in the day, though, the reason why you didn't do as much to show them up is why was that, Zach?
Get earhold the next
they're coming after you.
But I saw something about that, and I'm glad you brought that up. I don't think he cares. Like I saw something, and it was like you can't even retaliate against him in that way because if you plunk him, he's going to celebrate 10 times harder the next time he hits a homer against you. Like there is no, like, I don't think like that's how he plays. Like and I'll say this, there is a very, 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 very few specific group of players that can get away with that because like you can't be doing, like you said, Ryan, a guy who hits 3-4 home runs a year can't be doing that on every time. But a guy like Ronald Acuna, that's kind of been, we talk about these flashy players. That's how he plays the game.
For sure. But I do think, and they're protected. I think again, personally, that's not what I'm going to do. That's not how I was raised to go and play. Right. And also just you act like you've been there with that, but it doesn't upset me with it. Right. Like he's earned the home run. He's one of the best players in the game. But I think the one conversation, what would stop it if they did go that route, what would stop it is the threat of if you show up a pitcher that, a message might be sent. Now I get it. The safety of the players, no one, and I don't want to see guys and even pitchers. It pissed me off, even if it wasn't warranted and pitchers were mad about something or there's a hard slide at second base. Pitchers, the unpredictability of drilling a dude in the head, because I don't care how good you are, you don't know if that's going to happen. That's the one part of the game that always pissed me off, right? I hate then if you're trying to send a message and you go head hunting, that pisses me off.
Yeah.
Because that could end a guy's career or put them in a very bad situation. And there's some horrific moments of that, right? It's just where the game is with all of it. And, every player is different. I mean, Linker, I'm seeing with this, and I actually think was at this game with Soto. Dean was pitching.
Yeah,
I believe. And Soto hit the ball to the freaking moon, and I'm laughing my ass off because Soto is my former teammate in the minors, and so was Dean Kramer. Nationals and the Orioles, respectively. And you know what? Soto hit it a mile. But you know what the biggest thing for me with all this, Zach, to close it up? You know how you really shut somebody up or shut a team up?
Beat them.
You win the damn game.
Mm-hmm.
You win the damn game. And if you win the game, and I remember Dean even said that after the game, he goes, well, great, that was worth one. We got the win.
Yeah, enjoy your solo homer while you're down 5-6-0. That is the thing. And I think that's another thing with Ronald Acuna. I might be completely wrong with this. I feel like he doesn't necessarily go, like if that was a solo homer down 10 runs in the ninth, I don't know if he's doing all of that. But I do think it also gives his team kind of that, it's like you said. I mean, there's so many players throughout sports where you have that, you love him if he's on your team, you despise him if he's off your team. And I think that's kind of where Ronald Acuna does fall into, because when he's doing that stuff, it'll get his players fired up. It gets the guys behind him. He leads off the game with a home run. You talk about confidence. You see your leader going out there first pitch of the game, hit it 500 feet, and then he's doing that around the bases. And then something I do want to bring up is I don't have the video, but before Ronald Acuna went up there for that home run, there's a video of, just this is to show both sides of the person. Like, it's not just the guy who's celebrating. Took pictures with like 4 kids in the dugout or in the on deck circle, going saying hi to kids, giving a few pictures here and there. Like, it's not like he's this big, oh, this is all about me. I'm like, he's helping like grow the game. We're talking about it. Like, is it something that I would do? I like you said, I would not have been able to hit enough home runs to be able to do it. But if it works for him, it's kind of where the game's going right now. There's a lot of flash. I say this all the time. Cedric Mullins has one of the best home run stares in baseball. When he gets all of it, Ceddy will watch it fly for a minute. And I mean, like, it's kind of just incorporated into the game now. The bat flips, Gunner's angry walk, bat toss. It's a little bit of like a fire up your guys type thing, I think, more than it is a, hey, I'm disrespecting you. I think it's a, hey, I just hit the ball 500 feet. I'm going to get my guys fired up and let's try to win this game.
I like, again, the ultimate thing I want when I go out to play the game, like if I was looking at my personal, checklist, do you play with passion? Do you try to do the little things right each time? And in the moments of it, do you have a respect for the action, for the game? Like, that's how I look at it. You respect the game, you respect the ones around you. The definition on respect it varies, right? Like, I don't think in any way Acuna Jr. is trying to be disrespectful. That's just how he plays.
Yeah.
Right? Fernando Tatis Jr., you're talking about polarizing players. Fernando Tatis Jr. is an emotional player. Mm-hmm. He plays with passion. And I think Buck Showalter said it this is how like the new day and age is. It's not that I'm not trying to say with right or wrong. And again, I'm saying I couldn't do that. I would not do that. I didn't grow up doing that. Right. But I have to understand that this is what players are growing up to do. Now, I saw one comment saying, like, if it's every single time, you're down 9 runs and you hit a jack and you do that. Yeah. Well, dude, like, read the room on that, right?
And that's where I think it would be your teammates more than anyone that would be upset. Like, if we're down 10-0, we're just had our teeth kicked in for 9 innings, and it's just everyone's like, we got to get home, and Ronald hits a solo, and he's, doing the celebration. He's Euro stepping. Then I think as a teammate, you're like, dude, just get in the dugout. Like, the game's over. We're going home. But if it's to start the game, fire up your teammates. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. I know it's and I know I see, Lanker talk about it's, filtered down to you. The one thing
I agree with that.
This is where it's like, and I'll tell you this is where it gets tricky, because the number of, you can look in, hell, even the majors, in the minors, in college, in youth, the number of times I've seen people thrown out at second because they tried to pimp a ball that they thought was gone, and then it ends up hitting off the wall. It ends up going short, and then they're sitting there, what could have been a triple, double, triple. They're sitting there, they're thrown out at second, they're standing on first. It's like, then, like, no, you can't, like, it's something earned.
You know where that conversation goes, and this is where the biggest differentiation, the differing factor for me. In the big leagues, and you're getting paid, you know what matters? You win the game, right? So if you do that celebration and you win in the bigs, you can live with it. Why? Because winning cures it all, and if it helps you win a championship, you put up with it. Now, I will also say the teams that seem to celebrate the most don't typically win in the big leagues, right? The Dodgers they celebrate when they get to second base, but I don't consider them a celebrating team, right? They go about their business. I think that plays itself out. But here's the biggest differing factor when you talk about the big leagues or college down. So from big leagues where it's professional baseball to college and youth sports, you know who can dictate what your players do? The parents, the coaches. You want to instill something because they're trying to learn? The parents and coaches, that's where you do it. Because at the big leagues, if you're that talented, the reality is the player's talent is going to be the deciding factor, because you can't find another Ronald Acuna Jr., right? Buck Showalter said it with Manny Machado, Zach. Remember of going, he goes, if I tried to morph Manny into be this one thing with his skill set, I wasn't getting the best Manny Machado. And he's also saying Manny Machado wins us games. So I got to try to find a way to work for him. But every other level at the lower level, yeah, you want to set the tone for kids that are playing travel ball, or you're going off to college and it's your program and you're setting a standard. That is on the coaches and the parents. Because I'll say this, regardless of it, you know why I would never do that personally? My parents would never allow that. That's for me. My dad, every time I did something, he goes, you know what? You're going to learn the hard way. You're going to be humbled. And I did it out of a sense of every time I thought that my shit didn't stink, and I didn't do like in that, but in cases where I felt better about myself, the game humbled me. And if the game didn't humble me, my parents were saying, hey, we don't do that here. Right? Like, I think that's the biggest difference when you're looking at the youth, and you can say, well, they're watching their idols. Well, guess what? Watching their idols is one thing. The parents and the coaches dictate that because you are there every single day. Yeah. I digress.
No, I agree.
I get fired up about that.
And that's a completely, on the major league level, it's one thing. When you have kids pulling out 9 different second base celebrations in 8U, when you have, also the other thing is like, I see some like on the internet, like kids that are like 9, 10 years old with like 7 different custom sliding mitts. They have like 6 different bat. Like,
you know how much money that could go somewhere else, by
like,
the way?
Geez. Like, it's unbelievable. Like this, I agree. It can not, like, there is a level to this stuff.
You know what? This is one thing I wanted to say about all this for anyone that's watching with kids. You know, this is a good conversation we got into.
Yeah.
Zach, bravo.
You know,
bravo.
We try.
But so this whole conversation, when you're looking at developing kids into young adults into men, you're trying to set a foundation of what it's going to be. And you're going to have to learn as you go, right? Like, you're going to have moments where you're going to have to mess up, get embarrassed with something, but you're also going to need to have the guidelines and the parameters to get to that point. And not everyone has that stable foundation, by the way. So I want to point that out. That's what makes it even more important when you are with teams and with coaches that aren't your parents, that they can help you point in that direction and that path, right? Like, that's the biggest part of this whole thing. The kids to go off and to accomplish more, it is at the younger age. It is at the younger age of understanding the right and wrongs. The best lessons that I learned about what to do on and off the field came from my failures as a kid, but also my guidelines that I had. And then you want to talk about with parents and kids. This is about the multi-sport thing and about playing. I just had a conversation before we started the show today in the building with Matt down the hall. And Matt goes, we were talking about kids and playing, and he's saying about fall ball tryouts or whatever we're starting because he's running some leagues. And I go, dude, I didn't play fall baseball until my senior year of high school. And you know the only reason why I played baseball in the fall my senior year? It's because I had chronic mono, lost 30 pounds, and I had colleges saying, well, hey, did you lose a step? Or can you go out and play in the national tournament in Florida to prove that you're back on track? And I'm like, okay, so I did. Yeah. I skipped my homecoming dance in high school, which I promoted, by the way, as Pierre, fitness instructor, by the way. That was when I was Pierre. I promoted the dance and didn't even go to it, and that still bums me out to this day. But I went down, played really well, got back on track, and that kind of set the record straight. But every other time, I never played one sport all year round. Never.
Yeah.
Ever. And you know what? We're talking about some of the best players. Every player that I feel like I've talked to and that we've talked to as a collective group, do you remember any of them ever said that they were a one-sport guy?
No, and if the exact opposite, every great we've talked to, we at some point they bring up either in high school or before, they're like, oh my God, I was a massive basketball player. Oh, I love Craig Biggio had a scholarship to Penn State as a running back. Like, these guys are not just
Matt Holliday was the Gatorade Football Player of the Year.
Yeah. It's
Right.
like they're not just baseball players. And I think that's a lot of cases you see some burnout from kids that are just baseball players where it might not hit until they're, 20, 21, 22. I had multiple friends who went on to play baseball in college, and some didn't make it the full 4 years, not because they weren't good enough. In fact, they were starting on their team. They were like, hey, I'm tired of baseball. Like, I've played baseball every single day for the past 16 years. Like, and I think that does put it's having that well-rounded, athletic background of, hey, fall is for soccer and football. Winter, you're playing basketball. Spring and summer, go play baseball. Go outside, play some baseball. It's about having that well-versed background that really takes athletes to this different level. And it does help you long-term. Playing basketball is going to help you more in baseball than sitting there hitting a baseball for 365 days out of the year.
And go look at our interviews that we've had and go watch or look up some of your favorite players. Like, is a favorite for Orioles and Birdland, Eddie Murray. Yeah. You know what Eddie did as a kid? Played everything. He would make up games in the backyard. He'd play basketball. Ozzie Smith with the Cardinals talked about he would go and work on going to a trampoline place by like a construction site, if I remember correctly. And he just practiced being an athlete, doing flips. The amount of athletes, and actually the guest we're going to have that's going to debut on Sunday, he went down as being considered one of the most talented players ever to play the game of baseball. And he credits not baseball for his skill set of being an athlete. He said athletes have to be athletes. And sure enough, he did other sports, and his brother went on to play football in college, right? And he could have played football in college, by the way. Maybe people will connect the dots of who that's going to end up being, who we talk to. But when I say he's one of the greatest players of all time, and we've talked to some of the greatest players of all time, he might have been the greatest player of all time had he stayed healthy.
I mean, here, I love this right here. Todd Helton, career .316 batting average. One of the better baseball players of all time, especially at first base. I know people with, him being in the Rockies have their thoughts, but Todd Helton, damn good baseball player, casually started at quarterback over Peyton Manning at Tennessee to start. And actually, his injury is what paved the way for Manning to get playing time. Man, it is a big difference. And hell, you've talked before off screen of, talking to college coaches and stuff. Some of the first questions they ask kids are, what other sports do you play other sports? And trust me, they're not looking for you to go, no, I'm committed to baseball. No, I'm all in on baseball, like baseball. They want you to look at them and go, yeah, during the fall, I play soccer. I play, this during the winter. I play this when I have free time, because that's an athlete. That's a guy, a well-versed athlete who his body is trained for a lot of different movements that you don't always get in baseball and can help. I've seen in the comments, injury prevention, stuff like that. It is beneficial.
Yeah. And to finish that conversation that we've had, or I've told you before, I'll tell the full story. I was working with a kid, and they had a friend who was a agent and had a friend who was a scout for the San Diego Padres. Okay. So I was working with the kid, and the San Diego Padres scout came to watch batting practice. So we're sitting in there and we're talking. He's watching a little bit, watches a couple rounds of front toss. And then I throw to him a little bit, but in between the rounds, San Diego Padres scout asks the kid and goes, oh, hey, so, how old are you? Okay. Gives him his age up, 16, 17. Goes, oh, okay, great. What other sports do you play? Do you play any other sports? And he goes, No, I just focus on baseball. He goes, oh, because we look for the multi-sport athletes because it challenges the player to have to work and use the brain and use different muscles to figure out skills. That's coming from a scout of the San Diego Padres. And we heard Buck Showalter, and Buck even said this to me on this show. He said it off it. He goes, yeah, Ryan, I remember we had people watch you play basketball. And I remember I had MLB scouts when I was in high school that came to watch me play basketball because they wanted to see how I moved and what I did and what the thought process was. I remember, I'll take it back another step. Nick Saban came to Gilman to watch Cyrus Jones, who was my classmate at Gilman. Cyrus went on to sign with Alabama. You know why they wanted to watch him? Obviously, he wants to sign him. He wanted to see Cyrus play a different sport. We wanted to see him play basketball. And we smoked Calvert Hall that game, by the way. Oh, buddy. I think we won by at least 15 in that one. That was a great effort from the Hounds. Go Hounds, baby. But, like, it's cool when you're hearing that side of it. So for anyone out there, let your kids be kids. Go let them play other sports and let them be challenged and let them fail. And people like that. They're going to learn a lot about themselves in the process here, you know?
And
go ahead.
I was going to say last point, catcher for the Baltimore Orioles also has a career tackle against Christian McCaffrey. You don't get that if you're not playing. You want to talk about, like, yes, Adley's on the IL right now, first time in his career. You know, people talk about, like, how are the knees going to hold up? How's the body going to hold up? Probably a lot better because he's been putting in the work. Like, he was a kicker. Like, that's not like, you know, it's one of those things where the top athletes you see are not guys that committed, you know, in baseball, are not guys that were committed to baseball for the first 18 years of their life, playing baseball, 365 days a year.
Yeah, and also, let's go through some of the best players in baseball. Mookie Betts, he's good at everything.
If you take Mookie Betts to a bowling alley, he will roll a 300.
Everything. Jerry Harrison Jr. has been on here and goes, it is so frustrating how good of an athlete he is. He just picks it up, and he's good. You know, also one more Baltimore name, and then we'll move on, and, you know, we'll wrap it on up here. But let's stay in the MIAA. Pat Spencer was a lacrosse player and basketball player at BL.
Yep.
Okay. Pat then went to go play lacrosse at Loyola College. Mm-hmm. Those types of Hounds. And we can all say go Hounds, though, right, Zach? So go Hounds. And Pat Spencer, I believe, won the Tewarden Award, which is the best lacrosse player in the country. But you know what he did then, Zach? Because he's an athlete?
Yeah, what do you do?
He went off. He's like, you know what? I can play basketball. Northwestern had him go play basketball there. And then you know what? He was good enough of an athlete and a basketball player, got to the G League, and then he signed a contract, and he was a Golden State Warrior. And he is one of the best athletes that I have seen. And think about that.
I literally went from playing lacrosse to averaging 7 minutes a game in the National Basketball Association, and no shot to other teams. So it's not like he's getting that on the Wizards. It's playing with Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors and a team with Jimmy Butler. And if you watch Pat Spencer play, he's not, we're just tossing him in. He's been a spark plug for them. Like, athletes are athletes. If you can play anywhere, like, these guys are freaks for a reason. Like, you don't just get to become a freak athlete because you focused on a singular sport for your entire life and you just honed in on that. Become a freak athlete because you played everything, and all of it put together got you to where you are now.
Yeah, I mean, he was, I believe, 27 when he played his first games in the NBA in 2023.
Yep.
So we're talking about still being an athlete, and then he played 39 games this past year for the Golden State Warriors from a guy whose first sport wasn't even basketball, and yet he made it to the NBA. And also, good dude, by the way. I got to see him. I hadn't seen him in years. Saw him recently. And his brother Cam Spencer went to UConn, and now he's in the NBA as well. I think he got drafted by the Grizzlies and won a national championship with the UConn Huskies. So how about that? End of the day here. One, Baltimore's got a lot of talent, so shout out Baltimore. And two, go out there and be an athlete. And you have a chance to learn how to be an athlete. You got a chance to be pretty good at whatever you want to accomplish. And then it's about, do you put the time and effort? And And then you figure out what you're really good at and what you're capable of doing. Don't specialize in one thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot more things to go out there and do. I mean, Zach, I know you and Pat Spencer probably have the same hops as I've seen.
You know, it's something. I wasn't going to bring it up, but I'm glad you did. Also, Pat Spencer scored 17 points against the Pacers this year.
Yeah. Hey, Lanker, glad you enjoyed the show. And we're glad all of you guys have tuned in. I see our normal crew right here. We appreciate each and every one of you. And if you're new to this channel, you're new to the Ryan Ripken Show, well, you better hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show, we do it live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook Live. Then we'll put it out on the Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast after the show. But when it's live, you get to interact with us during this whole process, which we appreciate. We also have great guests. We have the Legend series that drops every Sunday. We have other interviews that drop as well. And I got to do a better job of this, which I'm starting to do, where I do some impromptu live streams with just our Holy Shirts and Pants members. And guys, for our Holy Shirts and Pants members, for your patience, and I appreciate, because we haven't even put any shirts on sale, but you guys are getting the first Ryan Ripken Show shirts. That's number one. And for being patient too. And our sponsors have given us a ton of things. You're just getting a little care package for the Holy Shirts and Pants, not just the shirt. So I look forward to be able to bundle that and give that to you all. We appreciate that. And if you're trying to be a channel member, even if it's not a Holy Shirts and Pants member, being a Rips Good Kid, it all goes back to helping make this product better for each and every one of you. And it's been a journey so far. And the journey started with the Ryan Ripken Show, and it's led to a day by day, because I can't do that after every Orioles game, but Zach and Kevin can. So make sure that you are subscribed to Kevin and Zach to react after every Orioles game, good, bad, and the ugly.
Oh, we'll talk about it all. So if you want a spot to come in therapy, celebration, whatever, I popped champagne last night just because. So you never know what's going to happen. Never know what's going to happen. Come join us after the Orioles game as your post-game destination. Yeah. Kevin started dropping post-game destination recently, and I'm really liking it. I think he cooked with that one.
Post-game destination. Yeah. I salute you guys for doing that every single time, because I'll tell you what, I'll hop in, I'll see what's happening, and you guys do a great job. People have told me they like the interactions, the laughs, not really as much crying, but a lot of venting, the anger that they can get out. And it's just one of the elements of what we've created with Ryan Ripken Media and the Ryan Ripken Show. That was the first spinoff of the Ryan Ripken Show. So we appreciate each and every one of you for all of it. It's been a fun ride. And again, we're closing in on 2 years of just starting Ryan Ripken Media and the Ryan Ripken Show. Crazy how it's been. And we're actually on this channel approaching 20,000. Zach, it's been a wild last 2 weeks. Honestly, the month of June has been absolutely bananas, as Gwen Stefani would say. She would say this shit is bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A-S. In the last week, just on YouTube, we almost have 1,500 subscribers just in this last week. It's been awesome. So can't wait. And then we also cover football in the fall, but it's baseball season. We're baseball people. Thank you all. And we are under now 1,000 subs, 886 to 20K, which is amazing. And we went from just averaging just a couple thousand views a month, or into we did a solid job from the start, but saying the thousands to now across all of our platforms, we are averaging millions of views a month. So, and that's all because of you guys. So, hey, give yourselves a round of applause here. Here.
What a time.
Look at us. I saw Fringe Crew and I felt bad. He said, "Where was the martini glasses?" I saw that earlier. He hadn't seen those little plastic ones. Don't worry. We got a lot to celebrate here in the future as we get closer. And Jason, appreciate it. You're a good kid. And for those also, help a brother out and help him find a kidney. Help our guy Jason find a kidney. Jason, we've appreciated your support throughout all of this. Thank you for it all. And I want to shout out also the Discord. I'm going through all of our appreciations. Discord, we have a free Discord.
Yep.
Go check it out. We're having fun. We got great people, good food.
People helping people.
People helping people. Anything else, Zach, that I'm missing? I mean, it's been a great start to the week.
Yeah, I was gonna say, great show. I feel like we covered a lot. It was a good show. I think we're glad we got into that Acuna talk. I think that went well.
We did, and it got down a rabbit
Yeah.
hole,
Oh, yeah.
and it got Ollie back in his spot. He is zonked over there.
Yeah, he is. I don't even think you can see him in the corner. You can barely see him over.
You can see his toys.
Yeah.
You can see his toys. Oh, goodness. Oh, yeah. I don't know. This might be X-rated, Brooks, if we play the clip. Brooks sent me a clip of me doing the bar class. But it was one of the memes of it, and it did make me chuckle. I don't have it on me, Brooks. It was great. It was hilarious. And then this week, what do we have the rest of the week? Merritt tomorrow. So shout out Merritt Clubs. We'll be there tomorrow. Weather and heat permitting. I think we're cooking with Kyle on Thursday. Tim Kirchin tomorrow. Possibly an Oriole that's doing pretty well that I guess he's not a bust after all. And he might be the long option there at the top of the order.
Maybe.
For a long time to come. Anything else?
No, I think we got it. Should we cue the music?
Should we cue the music? Cue the music.
Bow, bow, bow.
As always, here on the Ryan Ripken Show, we appreciate each and every one of you. Have a day, have a night, have a great stinking Tuesday. And guess what? We'll be back to do this again tomorrow. Be good, be safe. Go Birds.